So
Oh, yeah. I had a topic. Okay,
yeah,
so it's kind of cool. So we all know the national debt is like super high, right? It used to be where it was like kind of every couple of years, but now it's like every couple of months. It feels like maybe like a year in between. Um, but the higher it goes, the more you have to wonder like how long until we see like real change, like because it's gonna happen where we're gonna have a lot of change, but how long till then? Because like there's no way like financially the government can just keep raising the debt ceiling forever. Eventually it will just crash.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard somewhere that essentially federal America is in debt to corporate America. Is that where most of our debt is? Corporate?
That sounds right.
Okay.
um he said federal America in debt to corporate.
That's what I heard somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was thinking like we still have like a strong economic system. Okay, it might have supply chain issues, but there's still like economics happening. So in my mind, that kind of the end result of like a collapsing government and a strong economic system is like a guild system. So like I think it's hold on, let me city in Wheel of Time that uses guilds. Tarvalon? No, that's not the one. It's in the bottom left corner of the map. They basically like um oh, it is called Tanchico. Okay. My bad. Um yeah, if someone's not part of a guild in the city, you like literally can't be a beggar. So like the guilds are like the most important thing. It's basically like a source of reputation. And so if you get kicked out of your guild, you're kind of just screwed. Because like you can imagine it's kind of like a tribe, but like tribes generally don't like to, they have like different rules and laws and they don't like to rub up with other people, so guilds are more of like a financial tribe.
I could kind of see like financial tribes. I want to see like workplace tribes if we're talking about guilds. Um, it's like it's something I've been trying to like. It's something that's hard to predict because there's so many moving parts. And I've been trying to like, and not only that, because not only are there so many moving parts, there's also parts that we can't see and just kind of have to predict and assume. But based on like human nature, right? Like if we base it on like the survival needs, when the question is isn't necessarily. I don't think the question is like when America will crash, but I think it's more important to see like how it will crash. And then if you can figure out how it will crash, you'll have a better idea of what way the system will look like afterwards. And my prediction of how it will crash would be like uh basically right now there's just there's what's the word, not disharmony, but the basically the amount of effort that people are putting into the system, they're not seeing any return on investment.
Yep.
The only reason that people are continuing in this system is because there's still a lot of luxuries. However, the more this balance gets stressed, like a lot of people have been playing into the system, like as much as they can, because uh, because that's like one, that's the way we were raised. But two, there's still chances. No, we got to eat. There's still a chance of possibly getting out of it or moving up. But the
But the competition is so fierce that it's unlikely, so people will slowly get depressed. Yep.
right, right, and that's kind of the thing is that the priority, if we go to levels development, right? Like level 1, that's like food, shelter, sex. If people aren't getting their base physiological needs, then that's not going to support any of the other needs. So what will eventually happen is that, like, if for some reason inflation keeps going up to where, right now people can't buy housing, well, at least we can rent. But what if people can't rent anymore? No, food prices are going up. People are taking out loans to buy food. What
What happens
happens?
when people are permanently slaves? Yeah, no, I get it.
Right. So and then not only that, like AI is exacerbating this problem because I don't think AI is going to take everyone's jobs, but it's heightening this divide.
Well, you've heard like the bubbles that like AI produces. Like they're basically just sending money back and forth and being like, "We have so much investment,"
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
like a big circle. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But the irony is that since everyone is banking on AI to survive, like even corporations, what will probably happen is that when AI falls apart, like everything will fall apart, which is
You mean like financially, not like literally physically.
it could go into physically. Like that's how bad it is. Like we're already stretched thin, right? Who can buy a home? Food prices are going up. Inflation, like while the rate of inflation going up has
Well,
decreased,
what?
but inflation is still going up, right?
Well, actually, one of the problems is we almost have too much food, but we don't have like the right like exports. So beef farmers are producing like too much beef,
Yeah,
but like because they used to export beef to other countries, but since we're no longer really trading as much, there's no point. So like farmers have to raise prices in order to cover their costs because they're like basically producing with no end goal,
yeah.
which actually makes it that people consume less, which crashes the beef farmer in general.
So
Right.
I guess in my head that's kind of hurting both ends, right? So the lack of trade. Um, so yeah,
Like the
so
U.S. produces like more food than its inhabitants can consume because it's one of the lowest population dense countries
yeah,
and an agricultural center of the world.
yeah,
Like we're a food exporter.
yeah.
Food and oil.
Food and oil.
Food and oil. It's all but only sweet, not heavy.
Yeah. So
You mean in terms of the oil?
Yes. There's a
Okay.
difference in the type. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess my thinking is that because everything is at the end of the day so stressed right now, like everything is like being stressed from family to food to inflation to economics to the economy to jobs that like and not only that like inter geopolitical like China's not doing particularly well, Japan is struggling, Korea is struggling,
Yeah.
Africa is always struggling, they can never seem to get their stuff together, Europe is struggling, like it's at a weird point where like basically if they're
Well, the places that are basically just consumers and not producers are just going to be screwed. Like
yeah,
they just die. Like it's literally gonna be like in Rome where the population was 2 million
yeah,
and then it went down to 100,000 because like the grain ships stopped coming from
yeah,
Egypt
yeah,
and they literally all just starved to death. Like there is no end result there
yeah,
other than just you don't have enough food, you die,
basically,
or you invade someone else and take theirs.
yeah.
System collapse.
And that's kind
Yeah,
of what I'm saying is like even that like the system collapse like
but locally in the U.S. though, like you probably won't see like a
the collapse of the U.S. will probably like it's hard to say. It could go either like full on revolution, or it could go into dystopia, government control, right? Because like with the birth AI is kind of messing everything up, and with AI, all they're doing with it is just surveillance. How do you stop a system that is smarter than you, right? That's the trick with AI. How do you control a system that is theoretically smarter than you? Uh, you really can't. So the awkward revolution, the only way to really beat the systems in play in America is to literally, if everyone were to just not be a part of it. But if people can't eat, if people can't do what they can, well, there's a possibility that like it's not like severely low, but it's like I would say like a 25% possibility that like it can be like a total collapse. I think that your theory about going into guilds, I think that's more likely, I guess, because what will probably happen is like when collapses happen, people have to kind of congregate into communities to make things work. Uh, and so I don't think it's going to be like necessarily brother against brother and family, but it will probably kind of turn into community versus community, right?
Oh yeah, like
Yeah,
like the high school thing of like I'm from this place and you're from that place. And so like we're not friends because you're one town over, like that nonsense.
yeah, yeah. And then like if you have like this and the it would be weird because the system would probably still run, but it would be like a very uneasy alliance because you probably would still have a government system over the United States, but it would be like a fake democracy, I guess. Like you can vote in a president, but like they still have all the power to control the systems. Kind of like how it is now, ironically. Right? Like yeah, your vote matters, but nobody really knows how much their vote matters anymore.
Well, I mean,
Um,
you could potentially see a system like France. I mean, I'm not saying like this will happen. I'm just saying like
yeah.
potentially speaking. Um, the French have like a on. They have multiple parties, and each party like kind of gets a say in like who does what. So they have like four or five different parties at
Yeah.
any given time.
Yeah.
They have like a left, a far left, and then they have like a right and a far right.
Yeah. I mean,
You're thinking a sort of development of coalitions, kind of analogous to what they have in, say, Israel, for example, or like you said, Canada. Like a greater refinement, a greater like partitioning of different like economic, political, corporate, career networks and subgroups, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying like that will happen. I have no reason to expect like what I like the guild thing. I think is very likely. But like what I just said, that's just like a thought bubble I had pop up just now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, no, I'm still kind of thinking about the guild thing a little bit, and kind of meaning and trying to meaningfully distinguish it from that thing that just kind of bubbled up to your head. And you're saying
Yeah.
the guild thing is more. How would you distinguish the guild thing from that most recent thought you had? Like, what way do you feel they overlap or don't coincide? Or
Well, I mean, guilds are inherently political, right?
Mhm.
Like that's their whole point that they exist is to be political. And so they're going to have like a format or a system of some sort. And it's more than likely going to have one. It depends on how many inputs you have into your guild. So like if you're an economic guild and like and you control five resources and have three end products, you may have five different factions because if a different person owns each resource, like there's a different person at the top of each type, but you all have to work together to produce like your three end products because you all need each other to make each individual product. You just make three of what you make. Okay. Then like they're all going to have a balance of power, and therefore like some sort of say. Like maybe one person is less important than the other four, but like they'll still have like a piece of the pie, and so they'll make them all part of the same guild.
Almost just like the states operate within the federation, like even now in a sense. It's like how each of the states, like we have so many senators, despite the fact that you know, Oklahoma, like California might have a zillion people and so much economic power, and Kansas almost entirely the opposite. But it's like they both still have two senators.
Yeah, kind of, but it's not a geographical thing. Like they could be.
You still thinking?
No, I'm just playing the game. They're telling me that I'm a retard, but like I killed two people. It's just my team that sucks. So, like I ulted their support, so I killed the support. I'm playing a guy who can basically like pull people into a death world, so it's a 1v1, and then because you have better stats than them, because you steal all their stats, you just killed them. And so I ulted their support, killed their support, and then in the 1v2 that followed, because there was three people there, I killed another person and then died. So like I killed two people, but my team just walked in and died after. And so I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. We have three losing lanes. Like, I don't know. I think I'm doing fine.
I don't know. Maybe what happened was the expectations of your performance got so high that you weren't able to fulfill them. What would you say? In reference to that, right? You sucked and you were a retard.
I guess
he was supposed to carry us. He was supposed to wipe them all out. Guilds.
Yeah, but guilds rely on a faction of power, okay, or a breaking of power because it's economic at its heart, and so the number of inputs into the system and who control those inputs is the most important thing. Like there might be some like familial relations going on, like oh you're a part of a certain family and therefore like you have power. But at the end of the day, like the economics of the situation is like how it works.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think the guild theory is pretty likely. I don't think it's 100% in stone. I think the most likely scenario is that we'll have a world that, like, I don't think that the system will like truly crash. If it does crash, it'll probably just be a pseudo crash that ends up kind of like what happened with COVID, where they tried to buffer everything as much as possible, but in the process they consolidated a lot of power. If they did have another crash, it would be similar. It'd be a similar system, but they would consolidate power with AI. So at the end of it, it would kind of be the same world, but with like a pseudo surveillance state. So ironically, the best option to get out of that is for a revolution to happen of some sort. So,
in some ways, it kind of already is. Right, with so many millennials and Gen Z just being like, "Nah, I'm not going to school. I'm not going to the corporate. I'm not going to the military. I'm not doing it." Right, and they're just kind of just doing their own thing, or just being minimalistic, or trying to make their own businesses, or doing something outside of the system that's kind of been running for the last 70, 80 years.
Yeah.
And I think it's both kind of it's both kind of a symptom and a cause. Like it's both making things, it's like causing different, it's like making different status hierarchies, like different ways of being important, different things that matter. And then It is.
Yeah, but that's perception based, not like property based.
No, but resources follow attention, right? So first resources follow attention, and then attention follows resources. Kind of like they feed into each other. It's like, so if you get enough people that pull and create their own little fiefdoms, their own little whatever, it's like they'll get. It's like YouTube or the internet or influencers or the tech people or whoever. It's like once you get enough attention onto whatever it is you're doing, then the resources follow afterwards. And so when
Yeah, I mean, kind of, but you still there still has to be like a smart person to like organize everything, or it just becomes like a movement, and then the movement isn't effective and it dies.
I think.
Excuse me. What makes you think you can just put 300 cans on the freezer and leave them there? So the next person who wants to get something out of the freezer has to pick them up and move them.
Oh, my bad. Sorry about that.
Go down there and I'm gonna make chili. Go move them.
I can't right now.
I'll play for
I
you.
mean, it's not that hard to move them.
I'll play for you, trust.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
No, you won't. You don't know how.
So, before we deviate too far from what's at the top of my head.
Oh, great. You have 45 seconds. Go.
All right, hold on.
All right. So he's got, how many minutes are we into the recording? So you know that you can come over here and edit this and.
Yep, I can cut this section out. So we can talk about whatever, like Magic the Gathering or the Yellow Sun, I guess.
Just something. This is where we come up with our most controversial discussions, and we talk about whether or not we want to see the Islamic religion even exist in the future of the human race. Like, is this war? Is this war really what we want to see right now? Even if the U.S. doesn't benefit directly, it's like they that proverb, right? That says that a wise man will plant a seed for a tree, the shade under which he will never sit. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, do we just want to doof, right? And then our great grandchildren don't have to deal with terrorist attacks anymore. I don't know.
I don't know.
We're thinking
so that's the moral question, right? Yep. So, who wants to be the one to get their hands dirty at the end of the day?
I know, right? He's either willing to pay the price, or who even can do it with a clean conscience. Because there's a weird paradox, right? Somebody who thinks like that already has an ethical code, and most people who have like some sense of empathy, some kind of ethic, they're going to kind of be conflicted about doing something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes they'll have to do it, and then they live with the guilt and the shame afterwards. They're like, it was a price worth paying, and I got to like emotionally suppress and bulldoze. Most psychopaths don't care enough about like the future generations to do something like that and take the heat.
Yeah.
And so there's a weird paradox.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I was going to say is I think the vast majority of quote unquote organizations are actually mainly just movements. Like they're emergent properties of like the emotions and the incentives, the frustrations and the desires of the humans that participate in them, right? It's just like ants or bees or whatever. Like they have an immensely complex structure that run on intuition, I guess, proto-emotions, instincts, right? And so I think smart people who have organizational skills can oftentimes see the potential within movements and then spearhead them afterwards, after they've gained a certain kind of mass. They kind of naturally, they either see an opportunity or they're pushed by necessity to kind of rise to the top. But once enough gravity accumulates around the movement to make it an institution. So some come from top down, some come from bottom up, and it's like I feel like I think like lots of rebels, lots of revolutions in the past. It's like they just kind of started from peasants or whoever, or the underclass kind of being fed up, or the oligarchs. Go ahead.
I will say I am a very top-down thinker. Like I'm very systems engineered oriented. So.
And I don't think they're mutually exclusive. But I do think that because there are always so many variables at play, most of the top-down people can't. It's like the same instincts, the same emotions, the same things that are in the population at large are in them as well, right? And so it's like it'll just be a fractal. It's like I was watching Cyberpunk 2077 recently, and there were the cyberpunks, the people outside the society trying to do their revolution and start and whatever. And you find out later on that at the top there are just a bunch of different corporations fighting each other, and they were using them to fight each other, right? And so it's like even it's like the the evolutionary process of like eat and survive, compete, strive, dominance, like whatever, just kind of like feeds through the entire system, like from the grassroots to the middle management to the corporations to the kings and the queens. It's like in through the biology, through the ecosystem, through economics. It's like through the entire system. Like it goes up and down and up and down. And so I think like what could happen is people with resources, like people who are, I would think it's like, so like lots of times in revolutions, the sons of aristocrats who weren't quite as high on the list of priority as their older brothers would be the ones to support the rebels, because they were like, I'm not getting mine, right? Like I'm not getting what I deserve. Like my older brother is going to get more land, and he's going to get to marry the princess. He's going to get whatever, and I'm just kind of stuck with this little bank. But then there are a bunch of peasants out here throwing a fit, and they're just like, they could really use someone to spearhead that. Like they could really use a financier. They could really use somebody to buy them weapons. They could, right? And then they would kind of start a little gamble, right, to try to get their own claim on a slice of the pie. And so I feel like a lot of that could happen too. There's like a lot of people who maybe multimillionaires or the smaller billionaires could try to find opportunities with the people who are like we're done, like we're going to start our own thing, we're going to start our own movement, we're going to start our own communes or whatever, and be like, oh, here's an opportunity for me to make my place, right, to make a difference, to, if they're idealistic, make a difference, if they're not idealistic, make my place, right? So I guess that's a complicated way of saying I think it'll be both and, right? I think it'll be I think new systems will be resurrected at the same time old ones start coming down. Like the fuel, like the ingredients that constituted one will be reconfigured into the ingredients that constitute something else that starts shooting up from the ground.
Yeah. There's been something floating around on the internet about the Great Awakening, and it's like they had like psychics like try to do like out of body experiences to like go to different areas of time, and apparently we're hitting a few of them now where it's like I guess the Epstein files were on there, I guess. Global warming was on there, but it said that all the planets in the solar system are technically getting hotter. But I guess the idea of the Great Awakening is the idea of like all of humanity getting into an understanding of like oneness, I guess. So simultaneously, like that collective unconscious coming together as one, I guess. So
could be. I think of it, I guess, in 2 or 3 ways.
That might have been a little too tangential, but all of this kind of reminded me of that JPEG I saw. So I don't know how true it is.
Here's kind of a tricky thing, right? It's like in terms of like evolutionary time spans, the amount of progress we've made, like let's say just like the last 5,000 years, has been absolutely immense, right? It's like, so if you're talking about these shifts of time, like if we consider like from now for like maybe just another 5,000 years in terms of like cosmic history, that's nothing, right? Like that's a very small period of time.
Yeah.
But for us, that's like that's eons, right? And that's forever. And so it's kind of like it's kind of like the Christians when they talk about Jesus, when Jesus says, "Prepare, I'll be coming back soon." And then they quote the verse, "One day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day." And then somebody's like, Jesus hasn't come back, in the last, few years or whatever. And they're like, well, time for God isn't the same as it is for time for humans. So it's a short period of time for God. Might be a long period of time for humans.
Yeah.
So.
One second. I'm trying to look something up.
Okay.
I'm trying to show you that JPEG clip that because it's actually immensely complex.
Yields.
I'm gonna go pee. I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay.
Right. See you in just a moment. Yields. I feel like I'm not understanding the core of what he's saying as well as I would like to yet.
I kind of get it. I don't. It's. I guess to me, I'm looking at it as kind of like journeyman, in a way, but like journeyman communities or unions in a way.
Unions, okay.
So, just basically, America will break down into different unions. So, I found it, by the way.
Is this breaking down to different unions? Is that, let me click on this? Is that breaking down into different unions? Is that kind of a throwback to kind of a follow up on our discussion about federal America being in debt to corporate America? It's like eventually it's going to become primarily corporate rather than federal in terms of the way we navigate the political landscape. It's going to basically become like Cyberpunk 2077, where the corporations are really kind of calling the shots. Megacorps.
I think the sad thing is that I think we're kind of already in a state of Cyberpunk 2077. It's just a lot of it is a lot more low key. So yeah, it's like when you tell me that story, I'm like, we're kind of already in that, you know. So
it's just not as brazen
it's just not as
as
brazen.
we feel like it will likely become. It's just like they're still kind of in the shadows.
Yeah.
30, 40 years from now.
Yeah.
Megacorps.
Yeah, like have you heard of paid protesters or professional protesters? Like that's the same thing.
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. So like, there are people. There like we don't know the whole full scope of it, but there are people who are paid to protest a specific point. So the issue is, and the real question is it by corporations or is it by the people who own the corporations? So I like the and that this goes into the deep state where we don't know how deep the deep state is, right? We don't know how we don't know how I guess brainwashed or propagandized that we've been by the deep state. And the problem with that, it means that we don't know what is fully real and what is real and what is lie, right? How much of your life do you know is a byproduct of you or a byproduct of where the deep state would like you to be? So
Yeah, that's interesting. That dovetails with the video I saw yesterday about a guy who was. I might post the video here. It was a guy who was talking about the food pyramid, the recent inversion on the food pyramid, and the recent recommendation for nutrients and how it flips. And then he goes and he tracks both the former and the present
Mm-hmm.
food pyramids to certain lobby groups and certain people with conflict of interest who shouldn't be where they are,
Yeah.
kind of recommending this kind of food, recommending that kind of food. And he's like, I don't. Is his like he was like, listen, and then he was like, but then he was noting he was like the corporations, the academics, and the state are all kind of. He was like they're kind of the same thing. He's like, look, this guy here is an academic. He goes here, and this guy goes here, and he's like you see the interconnection of these people.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, so I'm not saying they're. He's like, I'm not saying the academics are wrong. I'm just saying, how can we trust them? He's the last time they told us this turned out to be wrong. Turned out to be wrong for this reason. Now we're saying they're right. Like, but the underlying reason, the fact that there's profit and power connected to the academic research
Mm-hmm.
and to the providers, is still behind what they're saying now. So this guy said this yesterday. Now he's saying this today. The reason he said this yesterday is the same reason he's saying this today. So how do we know? How do we know which one?
Yeah. Yeah. So now, I can say that luckily the way our system is set up, there is still a chance to be successful. But I get, but it, the chances of being like deep state successful, like not a chance. Like Jeffrey Epstein, he was the surface of the deep state. He wasn't the deep state, right? He was the middleman of people with much greater power. So that's why he was basically that's why they offed him off basically, or theoretically, right?
But my tricky thing is like giving a damn. Sorry, like I mean, not like technically. Like I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying like in a world where like there are giant corporations and they have like almost absolute power and it goes all the way up, and then somebody like comes up to you and they're like, well, you have to do this thing now because someone you've never met before told you to do that. Like my first response is up yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because like and there are plenty of like careers where you basically just like you actually have contact with the person telling you what to do. But like blockchain, like corporations, where you're like, this is like absolutely like massive all across America. Like
Like
I don't fit in that. I can tell you that.
yeah.
Very few people in LC would, right?
Yeah.
Very few. Very few. Very few. How do I put this? Great Awakening. Great Awakening. I guess weirdos would care a whole lot. It's like, and even the ones who do care, like say Monk, for example, it's like they don't care because other people care. They care because it just coincidentally their own internal value system happened to line up with the current structure. But if it didn't, and where it doesn't, they're just out.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah.
Right.
I'd rather be myself and die than play this, play these stupid games. Whatever.
Right.
Yeah, when you have so many interconnected systems, like where do you strike to create? Where do you attack to be able to actually be able to do anything, right? And Brill talks to me like last time we talked. He mentioned that like you need to study, you need to learn more, and I think that's helpful. I think that's fine. But the thing I always look towards is like power and influence. Like you can't really do much unless you have the power to do it, and unless you have the influence to do it, and they're kind of interconnected. If you have influence, you get power. If you have power, you get influence. So it's like,
But also, a lot of these things just don't affect me. Like, I'm in a place in the United States where economically things have been deteriorating for 60 years, and it's like, what are you gonna do at this point? Like, what are you gonna take from me?
yeah,
There's the only thing that's still here is like the land itself. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
And lots of people are getting, and that's kind of what you guys are pointing out, right? Is like lots of people are getting to that point. They're getting to that point. It's like, what else can you do? It's like throw me in jail. It's like well, no bills, no cars to repair.
yeah,
It's like I don't even have a family that I need to support. So it's just a vacation. It's like you do, right? So it's like people are getting less and less to lose, which makes them dangerous. Dangerous to the powers that be, right? Dangerous to the maintenance of the system as it currently stands, so to speak.
yeah. And so what's interesting, and this is why I kind of see the AI as a problem, is that usually when we start getting to this point, like maybe 2 or 3 steps lower than what you're experiencing, Avery, that's when people start to revolt and people start being like, "We need to change the system."
I mean, like Mississippi.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Yeah.
but
What
with
happened to Mrs. Oh, hold on. Go ahead and finish first.
yeah,
Then I'll
but
ask.
but with AI, what's going to happen probably is that basically the people in power, all they have to do is just buffer society long enough to where enough people die out to where they just no, they don't have to change. So it's basically a waiting game.
That's
Yeah.
absurd. Like, that would never happen. Like, they would never last that long.
That look,
Like, I don't think you understand
here's a
just
story.
how little a person needs to survive.
Here's a story. Here's a story. In Japan or Starbucks, the way Starbucks got into Japan, because they had a hard time getting in there because the Japanese people didn't like coffee. They started a children's TV show that had little candy coffee treats. And what they did is that by presenting those coffee treats, they then sold the coffee candy. And then by selling the coffee candy, they got the Japanese kids to start enjoying coffee. And then 20 years later, they finally built Starbucks. That was a 20-year long game.
But you're
plan.
talking about in a conformist society. Like, that's a society where like that kind of thing could happen. This is not what we're talking about.
I think Americans underestimate, especially. I think Americans underestimate the power to which psychic epidemics have a hold even on them. We might be the least in relation to most other nations, but we're still human. We're still susceptible to the same group thing, if perhaps less potently. And
let me describe something to you right now. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a friend. His name is Daniel Johnstone. Okay. All right. He when we were in school, he's 2 years younger. All right. I'm in art class. I'm like 17, 16 or 17. And he's probably 15. And we're literally just sitting there. And we got like our projects back, and he had finally done something to like make a project. And then he just smashes it on the ground. Like, it's a ceramic clay pot, and he just smashes it. And he just looks around with like a blank smile on his face, like, "Did you see me smash that pot?" And like half the people in the class started laughing.
Oh my!
Like, this is like you don't understand. Like, there's no, like, I got a parking ticket and I didn't pay it, and the reason I didn't pay it wasn't because like, oh, I'm mad at the government. It's that I literally don't think there's going to be any consequences to me not paying it. Like, I actually just don't think like they're going to be able Like there will literally be zero consequences to me not paying this because they just don't have that kind of power. Like, it literally, I looked at it and I just go, nah.
Calling their bluff, kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Like straight up. Like what are you gonna do to me? Like, you literally cannot do anything to me. They invented a new like penalty today. Not a penalty, but like a tax because like my dad was out there like doing a roofing job, right?
Yeah.
And the one of the people from the city department came down and they were like, you have to stop like repairing this roof on this building. And they were like, what are you talking about? Like, this is why. And they're like, well, we implemented like a new thing where no one can get their roof repaired until they pay the tax to get your roof repaired. Huh? So my dad was like talking to them and they were like, I was sitting there thinking about this and like, what kind, like, do they have to like invent bogus taxes now because no one pays like the regular tax? Like, you're not allowed to have a building here unless you pay the tax. That's basically what they said. Like, we won't allow you to repair the building until you pay the tax, and we're gonna come down and like use the police to stop you. Like, oh, all right. Okay, I guess we'll pay this one. This one will pay. Like,
we live in interesting times. We live in interesting times.
Yeah. So. I don't know. I think you might be. I think you might be different, but I remain unconvinced. So.
Okay.
I think people are easy to manipulate if you know.
They are if you live in a place where that is the norm.
Yeah.
But that's not the norm here. Like, it's just not.
I mean, you
like,
can still be manipulated.
My county gives out more concealed gun carry licenses than any other county in Indiana. Like, people are so polite, but like the rules are weird because you can't tell anyone to do anything, and you also can't be mean. So like, it's just because everyone is just armed. Like, you go outside and you know, like, probably 40 to 50% of the locals are carrying a gun.
Yeah.
Or they have it in their car. And so you just, like, that's the way the society works. Is that, like, you just be cool. Just be chill. Like, don't cause any issues, don't cause any problems. Like, you'll know whether or not someone likes you. And if they don't like you, don't talk to them.
I think we might be trying to talk about different things, though. Like, I think there's a difference between, like, forcing and fighting against the system and then having the system manipulate you into doing the thing that you think that you want, right?
See, I can see why you would think that, but no.
I mean, yeah, like, what if I manipulated you to say that? Would you believe me? How much of that would you believe?
I believe you could get me to say that, but I also wasn't going to say the other side. So that's not manipulation. That's just like a question.
I guess that's fair, somewhat. But like, the problem is that you can't 100% know unless I tell you what I did.
Oh, okay. How would you have gotten me to say the other side?
I'm not going to tell you.
You're not going to tell? Okay.
That defeats the purpose.
Okay. I'm going to move on from that.
There you go.
Okay, so I think if I can kind of help crystallize or clarify a little, maybe the differences is that, observer, you're saying it's like the people who have the knowledge and the resources and the access. It's like you're saying that you have strong reason to believe that they currently and in the future will continue to engineer large swaths of the population to behave in ways or to value things that benefit the stability of whatever system or structure it is that they want to maintain.
Basically.
And then Avery, you're saying that people are too, at least in this part of the world in America, are too individualistic for that to be successful enough to maintain those same structures, right?
Yeah, at least where I live.
Yeah.
I mean, like, people are like going back in northern Indiana. Like, there was kind of like an idea that like we don't want this to be like the hood, but like the kids that are growing up in northern Indiana, like, no, they want the hood to be like more prevalent. Like, they want to spread it to other places.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
I guess, okay, maybe here's an example of my side. All right, so when I was in college, my senior paper was on subliminal messaging and how businesses try to use subliminal messaging. And I guess an example would be,
if you think that the business is literally a threat, like, the subliminal messaging isn't going to do anything because you're literally going to look at it and be like, I hate this thing, let's burn it.
The problem is that it's like, well, let me share my example real quick. So they did a test, right, where they would play music, and they compared it to wine sales. When they played classical music, the better wine, the more refined wine, was sold more. When they played like pop music, the cheaper wine was sold more, right? So what this shows is that there was a cause and effect where they played a certain type of music. The individual, they didn't tell the individual what to buy, but by even playing the music, they were able to manipulate behavior to produce a result. Not directly, but very indirectly, to where the individual didn't even know they were being manipulated. And that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm not necessarily talking about like, oh, this business is awful, so we're not going to and like that's true too, right? Subliminal messaging breaks down if you already know what you want. But the question is like, if you don't know what you want, then you can be manipulated to anything. And even then, if you do know what you want, you can still be manipulated into certain pathways and guided. Like my example for that one, which is kind of funny, is in Naruto. You know Sasuke? Sasuke is the most manipulated individual in that entire show. And he thinks he's being individualistic the entire time, but his anger blinds him the entire time. All people tell him is like, people tell him the things that he wants to hear, and he goes along with it because he believes in the things that's right. You can manipulate desires and wants too, right? So, like,
well, yeah, if you're like nice to a person and like giving them things, like, chances are they will like you more. But the moment you stop giving them things that they don't like, they're gonna start not liking you again. Like, just because he hates like the way he was raised doesn't mean he hates the fact that people are nice to him now. I said the way he was raised. I know, like, it was like his society was like burned to the ground. Like,
well, you gotta think about like who manipulated him, right? You have Orochimaru who manipulates him, and he goes to Obito who manipulates him, or the Akatsuki, I guess, Pain, right?
But this is also like a child. Like, this isn't like a 35-year-old adult. This is like a 17 at most
I mean,
person.
the older you are, the harder it becomes because you're able to have more awareness, which is why awareness is kind of important. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's impossible.
Harder and easier because
Yeah.
people often crystallize, right,
Right.
their
Yeah.
narrative self, and
That's
and
why
then
So
if you
go
want
ahead.
to manipulate them, you have to get them young. But if the system breaks down to the point where the thing that you manipulated them to give them isn't there anymore, they'll pick whatever they want.
It's like you no longer have the carrot to offer them in the first place, only sticks,
Right.
and it's like now
Which
they
is what
gotta
we're
go
saying.
yeah.
their own
Yeah.
carrot.
But then this is what deep state does. They go deeper and they create the situation to put people into positions to where they will become the individuals who can become manipulated. Which is why I brought up the Japan scenario. They created the scenario for people to be manipulated. So,
So let's make this more concrete again, right? Because right now we're kind of both we're an NEFI TI lamp,
yes,
and
yes.
so we can bring it back down just a little bit and ground it, but not too much grounded because we are what we are. And what? Okay, so what you gave was an example of just a company, a large company to be sure, but just a company, one company among many, that
Mhm.
cast the net for fish who hadn't even appeared yet, right? And
Yeah.
then 20 years later, they snapped. They calculated the probable trajectory that was going ahead as a result of a certain series of actions. And like first, we get a popular show, then we get a popular candy associated with the show, then we get kids who grow up with that, and then we have a market, and then we can okay.
Yeah.
It's like you can imagine that they probably had ENTJs, INTJs up there scheming, calculating all these things, right? And then they had their nerds, and then they had their FE people, and then they had the people who made the story, which are the artists and the people, whatever, right? An emergent property of all kinds of different incentive structures. So they cast the net, people. They cast the net, and I have heard about different programs, different this, different that, where people have tried that in different nations, different countries during war, economically here in the U.S., different that. And I guess one of my questions is okay. The one thing that the both of you agreed upon during the course of this discussion is that something guild-like corporate 2077 it seems probable in the oncoming decades, and the some kind of something that we can meaningfully call a collapse of the current paradigm is coming. And yet, so observer, so you guys both kind of agree on that. And so what I want to ask here is, what are some hypothetical nets that you think have been or could be cast to catch people up when the next generation grows up into this new paradigm? It's like, okay, what kind of like who's waiting to catch who and what?
No, I think the military is like a good example of this, though. It's like people stopped going into the military because like older generations were like, this is no longer worth it.
And
Like,
oh, you continue. Sorry.
people used to go in the military because it was like, okay, you have like a stable career and like you're going to make a decent amount of money, and you actually do have a stable career and make a decent amount of money. But people stopped going in because like their parents were like, hey, we don't like the military anymore. And then yeah. And so like I think parental influence is probably going to be your primary thing at any like given stage.
The family is probably one of the biggest saviors of all of this. If anything does break down, so I I can say one of the nets I thought of was in the Epstein files. It actually mentions Jeffrey Epstein convinced uh, some of the gaming companies to put microtransactions in specifically because he wanted kids to get into to start getting into the system of capitalism at a young age.
Capitalism is more of a structure than like a
Yeah, he said
than a
capitalism.
system per se.
Yeah, he said capitalism. I think it was more consumerism, but yeah.
And here's what's kind of interesting, right? Is the one they noted here in the U.S. is that consumerism has become easy. Like phones have become cheaper, laptops have become cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
plane tickets have become cheaper.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like,
but houses and cars, right? Like things that give you greater kind of, I guess, autonomy, have become considerably more expensive during the same time. Go ahead.
so I get like where that goes, but I don't think I think it's a dead end track. Like any thought that you go down where you're like consumerism is like this or that, because consumerism at the end of the day is just trade. It's where it's the way the trade is structured that matters, not the fact that people are consumerist.
Okay.
Because
it's the context in which it's taking place in that matters the most, rather than the actual mere act of trading.
Yes.
Yeah. So usually when people say consumerism, like the very general base definition is just trade. But when people usually say consumerism, it's the idea of almost like gluttony on products and goods, right? People go into debt to go on a million vacations or to buy the next big car or to buy the next big TV. Um, that's kind of the consumerism. It's the gluttony behind the trade, not necessarily the trade itself.
Right.
There are two different interpretations of consumerism here. There's the very base idea, and then there's the I guess the way that I call it. You have the I used to have a way to explain this, and I forgot it. Oh, dagnabbit.
Okay, while you let your left hemisphere relax a little bit.
Oh, what's the definition? How did I describe it? The thing is that it's funny. It's funny. That's why. Well, the reason why I have a friend, he likes to call himself a Satan, and then I'd be like, okay, so where's the fire and brimstone? But he'd be like, no, that's not what Satan means. Satan means a person who is anti-theist and doesn't believe in God. So again, two.
That's not what that means.
Nope. But the very literal translation is a person who just doesn't believe in God. Like if you were to get the Hebrew word and translate it as directly as possible, but the like interpretation the of it is like
I guess that's like the opposer, the antagonist, or something like that.
Yeah. So there's it's the popular definition and I guess the dictionary definition. I'll go with that. I just wanted to share that story real quick. That's all, because I always think it's funny when he says that.
The difference between the academic and the colloquial, and then personal. Like the personal usage of the term is like the academic usage of the term, colloquial usage of the term.
Yeah. Well, the academic, and maybe not personal, but more like the general definition, or the popular definition. The
popular, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And something else I wanted to mention about the last point is that there's kind of a cyclical nature. There's kind of a positive feedback loop of kind of the gluttony that you're denoting, and that is like the less likely people are to feel like what they're saving is going to go towards anything bigger in the future. It's like the more likely we are to just kind of buy like the smaller things, like might as well just buy the new phone case or the new sunglasses or the new whatever, or go on this vacation. Like just the other day, I was watching an Instagram reel where some girl was like, I just spent I forget how much she mentioned on this vacation to wherever. She's like, because I've given up on trying to buy a house. It's like I can't do it. It's like I've given up on trying to get the American dream. So I might as well just travel and get some world experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you encourage, like if you encourage it, it's like if you encourage too much of it in the current structure, you end up with incentive structures where there is nothing. It's like there is nothing else to aim for but that for many people, for an increasing number.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Avery, you were about to say something before we interrupted.
I don't remember what it was. Sorry, I almost lost the game.
Okay,
sorry, I kind of
you were making a point about how the consumerism point was more or less moot because it's about the economic structure in which that activity takes place, not the activity of consumerism or gluttony itself. Could you elaborate a little bit more on? Can you flesh that thought out a little bit more?
Yeah. So basically, it's just like if you, it's not even the size of the structure. Okay, like if you're doing international trade, it's not consumerist to do international trade. It's just a supply chain. Okay, what's consumerist is when you have no negotiating power. Like, if you are literally just a cog, then you don't have like a piece of the pie. But if you say there's like a company and you own like 30% of the company, then you are not like a cog, you are an owner. Like you literally own the property. So if you're a citizen and you own nothing, then you are consumerist. But if you own like land and stuff, you're no longer like a consumer, you're at like another class level.
Consumer class.
Yeah, the consumerism is like a class thing.
Okay. And a lot of people are opting out because they don't feel like they can hit the next class. They're like, I can't get into the owner class, so I might as well consume that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
basically. So, but you know that might be the Kickstarter. So, America runs on basically a debt economy. So people usually will take out debt to do their fancy stuff. And if a lot of people decide, hey, I'm going to take out this debt, and then just decide not to pay it back, normally they garnish their wages. Uh, but there are two effects, right? So like the companies themselves will stop giving out debt because all of the debts are not being paid in full, or the reverse will happen where so many individuals will stop paying debts, will stop being able to live the lives that they want. Their wages will start being garnished, and then that will be the Kickstarter that will get everyone upset. So if that happens on a mass scale, then that's when the problems will start occurring. So
it's happening in the auto industry right now.
Yeah,
right? Like it's with the cars. Like people are like, this is outrageous because, and it's weird, right? It's like because the moment large numbers of people start using debt to purchase anything, whether it's
that's consumerism. Yeah, I would call that consumerism.
What happens is then the price for that thing shoots way up, so that people who don't like using debt to get those things now have to get really savvy with the way they operate that space. If it's
or they have to wait. Yeah.
Or they have to wait. Yeah. Like right now, I'm planning. I'm working on getting a house, and I have little doubt about my capabilities to do it. It's like because I have construction skills and I have connections, and my family conveniently happens to own a company that buys building materials. Right? It's like so we have internal labor, internal building materials, and we have connections.
I think there's going to be a massive housing crash in the next 5-10 years. Like, absolutely.
I agree.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I agree too.
Like, this is probably one of the worst times you could possibly buy a house.
Or a car, or much of anything big, right?
I think cars will actually stay high.
Tell me about it.
So, the thing about houses is that they last 90 years. So when you overbuild for 90 years. But the thing about cars have different like marketplaces. Like new cars and used cars are like different types. So like used cars are really high. And if new cars were high and used cars were low, I would say like go ahead, like do whatever you want. But since used cars are high and new cars are high, like I think they'll both be high. Like I think that's just like manufacturing is now like so bad because the supply chains are so bad that like there's so many pieces that go into a car that like the price will just always be high now.
And I think something else that makes the prices so high is their necessity because of because where America is just so big. We don't have.
Well, if we can use trains. Trains are actually like one of the most efficient vehicles on the entire planet.
I agree that we could, but I don't think we will.
If we go back to like an 1870s style like level of income and like life, the near necessity of being able to move things efficiently will demand that we use trains.
Okay. You feel if this nonsense keeps going on badly enough, people will go to their local political and they're like, listen, enough taxes on this. We want trains. We need transportation. I need to get to work somehow, and I can't.
Yeah, like, and it's not like we don't have trains. So like since we already have trains, like the people running the trains will just be getting so much money in a capitalist system that they will just build more tracks.
Okay. In other words, the complications around the auto market will incentivize private train companies to be like, oh, I could help out with this problem and make a profit.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Okay. Like, because, I mean, like, if you want to ship something within a city, like, a train's a really stupid idea. It's like, I understand, like, we need trucks for that. But, like, if you want to ship something from Baltimore to Maine, it's a great time to use a train.
I don't know. Is this advocating for purchasing the stocks in train companies?
I don't know if I'd advocate for purchasing stocks in trade companies, but I will say, like, I don't think it's the worst idea you've ever had from one of my ideas.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen like what's been happening with like gold and silver, and then like other just like metal companies in general?
No, tell me about it. What have they been doing?
Like I think like a small gold mine company, small to medium gold mine company, silver mine company, went up 720% in the last year. Like, which is absurd. Like, only tech industries go up that much. Which means that people are already fully aware of like the supply chain shifts. Like, there's no one is expecting us to go back to like the way things were before, because people are literally using their money to invest in things they believe are going to hold value in a different style of like economy. And so like change is here. It's just like, where does it go? And the first obvious place is, well, we need manufacturing in order to have things. And in order to have manufacturing, you need metal. So people literally just invested in mining companies. Like, that was the first thing they did.
Mining, that means lumber is up.
Yeah, lumber's been going up for several years, yeah.
Lumber. Not housing right now.
Right. Actually, that's part of the reason I think that there is an oversupply of housing is because like the how family sizes have been shrinking for like generations, right? But the number of houses per person has similarly gone up. So like if you end up in an economic situation where like some individual people have to like pool their money together to like buy a house, like like a normal family unit would, then that'll actually grow the size of the family unit, and like you will need less houses. And like I think that that's something that could happen in 5 years. And since houses last 90 years, like you'll just have a massive oversupply of housing.
And then people will be trying to give the people, and then it'll be, if that happens, it'll be one of those situations to where
It'll look ridiculous because we'll just have a ton of houses that no one wants to live in.
People will be able to be kind of picky about the kind of houses they want to live in if that happens, because landlords will be in competition for tenants rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see rent prices like fall out of the sky. Because people would rather own than rent, generally.
Mm-hmm.
And like there will be so many houses that like almost everyone could live in a house, unless one big company decides that it's just going to buy a bunch of houses and then sit on them. Oh wait, they did that, and now they're trying to panic sell all of them.
BlackRock.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys.
Yep.
Serves them right.
And now the economy is such where no one can afford a house, so they're struggling. They get what they deserve.
Yeah. Comeuppance.
Man, that was a long conversation. Sheesh. That was fun.
Thoughts?
I mean, this is like the normal conversations I have in my head every day. Right?
These are the things I think about. I understand. Trying to predict the future.